get to the wide receivers. I know we're both excited about this list. This is quite a few fantastic quarterbacks who are on the market this year. I've got 15 kind of top guys to go after this year, and most of them are unrestricted free agents. I think I have one guy. Yeah, I have one guy on this list who is he's a restricted free agent, but it has some type of tie into it. I forget exactly. It's Alan Lazard, but we'll get to him in a little bit.
Okay.
So like we said, and we both have him number one at the wide receiver position, Allen Robinson. If Chicago doesn't end up franchise tagging him, where do you think he fits the best? Where do you think he would want to go to try to use his prime years at?
It's the best. Oh man, that speaks to my fandom. Oh God, can you imagine him in Kansas City?
Yeah, no, I mean, so here's the thing with Kansas City. I literally was just because I set this in my head and I had this kind of ready to go for whenever we started talking about what teams should do moving forward. But and all of a sudden this morning when I'm watching all these videos, PFT, they go talk about Kansas City. They're saying they need to add a new dimension to their offense. And I say that the only dimension that I need to see them do is two things. Bolster, just get a deeper offensive line so when you do have inevitable injuries, you don't get completely decimated. And then two, you need just a route runner. You have Travis Kelce as your kind of like underneath route runner guy right now, but everybody's double teaming him because the only other thing you have to do is play zone over the top to stop Tyreek Hill from going all the way down the field. And then you got Mecole Hardman, but he kind of crumbles under the pressure. Sami Watkins can never stay healthy. What's the other guy's name? There's one more really fast guy out there. He's
Demarcus Robinson.
Demarcus Robinson. He's kind of Tyreek Hill light.
And Byron Pringle.
Pringle, I do really like him. He's their return guy right now, and I think that he's kind of thriving in that role. I think that they might kind of use him just as that specialist gadget guy to kind of bust open over-the-top stuff, just to kind of take some of that pressure off of Tyreek Hill when he's running those deep routes. They want to kind of split those safeties, have them make a choice, have Pringle running down the field with them. But if they have just one more guy over the middle, kind of in that mid-range area where Travis Kelce is right now, I think that would really open up a lot for that Kansas City offense. And so I think that Allen Robinson in that situation, just be a route runner. Run your route and let Pat Mahomes do what he does. And that, at the end of the day, that offense is going to take off like crazy.
Exactly. Just take an example for anybody who doesn't heard the technical version of what just happened and really not really okay. Yeah, I'm not feeling it. Okay. Let me make it. I'm gonna draw a picture so you can all see it. If Allen Robinson was placed, taking the same example, and was put on Kansas City, Allen Robinson has now become Antonio Brown in Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
as simple as that. You know, it to what he was, to what his value was, all the way to down the stretch of the season to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's what Allen Robinson would be. He would just end up opening the game up for everyone else, which
and he'd get his at the end of this day.
Exactly.
It's not going to be one of these things where he's going to be competing to try to get targets or anything like that. Yes, you've got Mecole Hardman, you've got Byron Pringle, you've got Demarcus Robinson, but at the end of the day, they're all going to defer. The only guys that you really have to say, hey, they got to get theirs first is Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, and then you're going to be that third guy where it's just like as long as you run your route, and as long as Pat Mahomes can trust you to be in the spot that he needs you to be in when things break down, you're going to be just fine. He's going to get you that ball because at the end of the day, again, like I said, they're going to be playing those two safeties over top to stop Tyreek Hill from doing those bombs. That's exactly what happened in the Super Bowl. You're going to bracket Travis Kelce because he's too much of a beast and too fast for one linebacker, but he's way too strong for one DB. So you got to kind of bracket him with both, and then boom, you're going to have – you can't double team everybody. There's going to be somebody open at the end of the day. And if you've got a reliable guy like Allen Robinson, I think Kansas City would that offense would be ridiculous with Allen Robinson in there.
And in fairness to this very subjective Kansas City piece that we just did, Allen Robinson did go on record stating that he wanted to go to a contender and play for a championship. So this actually validates what we're talking about. This is a potential contender. I mean, a potential landing spot for this guy.
And if it's not Kansas City, I would say if you're really looking to be that number one guy, go to Baltimore. Go to Baltimore.
Oh, I don't like that.
It's gonna make it really tough for Kansas City.
Ooh. That's for the whole league.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
That's gonna be a nasty
Oh,
kind
I
of
don't like
situation.
that. That's a nightmare. I didn't even think. My mind wouldn't even allow me to go there.
Yeah.
To even think that. No, this cannot happen in the NFL.
That's
Do not
exactly
allow
what they
this
need.
happen.
That is their number one need, is to get a legitimate number one wide receiver. Allen Robinson, I think he's kind of proven that over his time in Chicago.
Reason they can't beat Kansas City.
Exactly. And so if they are able to figure out a way to go get him, I think Baltimore becomes one of the favorites. And in all honesty, I think Lamar Jackson's kind of gotten a lot of crap over the last few years for his playoff run, and I've been saying it since I've seen it, where I finally come around on, hey, Lamar Jackson can throw the ball. He's not just a running back playing quarterback. That's not the case. I feel like I have to say I apologize to you, Lamar Jackson. I disrespected you. But at the end of the day, he is a quarterback. He is able to make those throws, and he can play in the pocket if he needs to, but he doesn't have to.
No.
So when he's on those off-schedule plays where you have somebody like Hollywood Brown running all over the place, being able to break free, he can definitely be that guy where he's just able to just say at the end of the day, I'm going to be where you need me to be. I'm going to be where the play tells me I need to be. And you can always trust that I'm going to be there for you. And that's what I think that Baltimore offense has really been missing, is just that consistency at the wide receiver position.
All right. So who you got next on your list?
Next on my list is Kenny Gallaudet.
Really, at number 2?
No, sorry. Chris Godwin and then Kenny Gallaudet.
All right, that sounds a lot better. Okay, go ahead.
But I am operating under the kind of.
It was right either direction.
Honestly, I feel like Chris Godwin is he's definitely higher, only because he's much younger. He's 3 years younger than Kenny Gallaudet. But I think at the end of the day, if anything happens, he's getting franchise tagged. I don't think he's going anywhere. So I think he's staying in Tampa Bay. I think that's a great situation for him to continue to play with the GOAT. Go again. Hey, let's run it back. Like I don't see him trying to break the bank right now.
Right.
And I know Mike Evans has even said he's willing to restructure his contract to free up some more cap space this year to bring back as many guys as they possibly can. I know they're looking at kind of using that franchise tag either on, I think it's Shaq Barrett on the defensive side of the ball. There's a bunch of guys that they need to re-sign. But I think at the end of the day, you let Ndamukong Suh walk. And then you go try to find somebody in the draft to kind of fill that void for him. And then you kind of, at the end of the day, I think Chris Godwin would be willing to take a hometown discount to stay with Tampa Bay and go run it back.
Yeah, that's seemingly where the direction is going. There has been some chatter where there's kind of they're not exactly sure. They may let him walk, but it doesn't seem likely that that's what's going to happen. Yeah. But what I got from it was stay tuned kind of thing, because it's not clear what they want to do just yet, because they have so many decisions.
Wide receiver walk, they're going to let Antonio Brown walk. And the only reason why I say that is because that offense was still very, very efficient before Antonio Brown got there.
True.
So I feel like Antonio Brown, yes, he brought that new level, he brought that new depth, but there's a lot of depth in the draft to go get another wide receiver. You can go second, third round and go get a wide receiver if you really needed to. So I think you let Antonio Brown walk, you save that extra, $3, $4, $5 million, whatever it may be, to keep Antonio Brown, and you use that to go pay Chris Godwin. You use that to go pay Shaq Barrett. You use that to go pay somebody else that you know is going to make a huge impact on this next run to go back-to-back in the Super Bowl run here.
Right.
So that's the only thing where I would say I do think Antonio Brown probably is going to be a guy who's going to be left on the market at the end of everything. He is 32 years of age. He is an unrestricted free agent. I think that he's going to find himself in a position after everything that's just happened in Tampa Bay, where we finally had a 2.5 month stretch not having some big bombshell of a story come out about Antonio Brown. I think that a lot of teams are now willing to see that he's not going to be a cancer in the locker room. Obviously, he's able to be in that locker room with Tampa Bay and go win a Super Bowl. So let's go. Maybe he goes to Seattle, where they discussed trying to get him before he ended up going to Tampa Bay last year. Maybe he goes to Baltimore, team up with his cousin in Hollywood Brown. There's a lot of possibilities for Antonio Brown in this market. So I think that he's going to be just fine. But I don't see him returning back to Tampa Bay unless he takes a pretty big pretty big pay cut to stick around because they've got a lot of guys to re-sign.
Wow. Okay. I was completely on the opposite direction where I think they were going to get rid of Godwin and keep Brown, as opposed to.
I just think Godwin brings.
It makes more sense what you're saying, but I think what I'm starting to get a picture of, that it seems to me that Tampa Bay is just trying to go all in for one more year, and they're not even really thinking about the future. Where I think they're just kind of playing with house money. That's why this Chris Godwin story has been kind of iffy since he's hit the market. It's kind of like they thinking about re-signing him. They not thinking about. I can
100% see it that way because Tom Brady definitely loves having Antonio Brown on the roster. But I think as an organization, I don't think Tom Brady is going to come in and tell him, hey, if you don't keep Antonio Brown, I'm going to move on as well. I mean, he's still under contract this year. So at the end of the day, I think what's going to happen is Jason Light, the GM for Tampa Bay, is going to say, we're just looking at your age. We're looking at the amount of money we're going to have to pay to keep you. And we're going to look at the money that we're going to have to pay Chris Godwin. He's been here for the last 4 years. He's done so much for this organization. He's already done more this season for us than you have. There's so much money that can go around. I think they're going to have to move on from Antonio Brown.
Let me ask you this question in light of what you just said. When is that what I want to ask?
You can ask me more than one question. It's okay. I'm
no.
For a little
Outside bit. Of since February 7th.
Yeah.
When was the last time you seen Tampa Bay win a Super Bowl?
I haven't. So
okay, I couldn't even say I'll wait quick enough.
No, okay. I haven't. But at the end of the day, I know Jason Light. Even though you're looking to go back to back and go get another Super Bowl right now.
No.
Okay.
Stop. You going way further than what. They won the Super Bowl in the first year. And I'm saying that to say, like, take any of the 32 teams. What's your goal? Win the Super Bowl. Win the Super Bowl. Everybody says that. They actually did it.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, okay, we've already obtained the goal. All bets are off going forward. You can say we're going to win we're going for back-to-back. It's never the same philosophy as what they did when they did it the first time, meaning that Chris Godwin, you might not be around here for the ride. We're not. They can mortgage the future because they already accomplished the goal.
That's true, but I think as a GM, GM themselves,
I know exactly what you're saying.
They're not going to look at it that way. They're going to say, hey, well, he gives us the best opportunity going forward to continue to play at this high level and only to get better. He's only 24 years old. Like
I understand that. But what I also understood is nobody wanted Antonio Brown but Tom Brady. Tom Brady got what he wanted, and Tom Brady won a title. He didn't score a touchdown with this guy. I'm just saying,
I 100% agree with you. I can see it both ways. For me,
so fairy tale to me right now how this played out.
Yeah.
Whereas, I guess what I should have led with, I think Tampa Bay is the exception to the rule here. They don't just in this season. They just in this window where they should go this way, but they don't necessarily have to go that way.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying when it comes to Tom Brady, and he got his guy, and he's going to want his guy to come back next year and all that stuff. But I just don't think Tom Brady is that guy to say, if you don't bring me my guy. I mean, he didn't do it in New England for 20 years. Like, why would that change now? I mean, yes, he asked for his guy, and Tampa Bay went out and got it done at the end of the day. But, I mean, even when we were having that discussion in the middle of the year is who's going to get Antonio Brown, is we heard Bruce Arians come out multiple times and said, we're going to try. Everybody's trying right now to talk to him and see what's going on. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, I still got Mike Evans. I still got Chris Godwin. I still got Gronk. Like, you still have your guys. And so, yes, he like I said, he brought that second element or that another element to that offense that kind of opened up a lot of things for Mike Evans and a lot of things for Chris Godwin.
It did. But there's that Tom Brady way, and Tom Brady's way won. Where I hear that. I think Tom Brady got a little more say right now if he wanted to put. And I know I'm interjecting a lot of hypotheticals right now, and I'm going to back off of it because it's just. I guess from the reports that I was getting, I can understand why they may be actually moving off of Chris Godwin. I don't necessarily agree with it. I'm just like, that's interesting. But now you also speaking to my fandom. I'm a Bears fan, so by all means, let Chris Godwin go because if we lose Allen Robinson, the only comparable replacement would be Chris Godwin. That's what I don't. To replace Allen Robinson's talent. I don't see nobody. You can go ahead and answer that. I don't see nobody else on my list that I will feel comfortable replacing him.
I would say the only other guy. I mean, he is my number 3 on my list, and I just stated it earlier. Kenny Gallaudet, by far, I think he has the talent.
Absolutely not.
Really?
I don't say he don't have the talent. The Bears don't have the talent to harbor this guy.
I mean, if we have Sam Darnold, like I said, and you're putting,
I put it like this: I like Kenny Gallaudet more so in Kansas City than I like him in Chicago. That's when you see the difference. Chicago's not ready for this guy. Like no more than Chicago wasn't ready for Allen Robinson.
But it's, for me, I think it doesn't matter because I don't think Chris Godwin is going to be the game changer. I mean, you still got to get somebody to get you the ball. So whether it's Kenny Gallaudet or if it's Chris Godwin, I don't see Chris Godwin, even though he is fantastic talent. I think that if that falls through, I wouldn't hate having Kenny Gallaudet. I think Kenny Gallaudet is definitely somebody who can fill that Allen Robinson void, no matter what.
I don't feel that. It's a field thing. I don't have anything on his numbers because his numbers is fine. But Chris Godwin got this dog mentality that I like about. It's just
no, and I agree.
I mean, this guy played with virtually one hand, literally, and almost did not miss a beat this year.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen the offense that everybody's eating on that team, and he's still eating. And I'm like, that's a talent.
I agree.
And I guess. And then Kenny Gallaudet, on the other hand, he's injured, and he did the normal injury. He was just out.
Yeah, but you also have to look at their situation. Chris Godwin's on a team that's bound and destined for the playoffs and going to a Super Bowl. Kenny Galladay's sitting on a team where we're with Detroit, the team, as you said, is notorious for all the f-ups that you can ever see in NFL history. I mean, you're looking at a team that's in the same conversation with only one other team going 0-16. So, I mean, like, and that's the situation that you're looking at. And not to say that he didn't have a great quarterback situation, because I've always said it. Matthew Stafford is an underrated quarterback in the NFL. Just he plays for Detroit. And so at the end of the day, you're not going to the playoffs. Your team's not able to compete in this division, which is very tough where everybody's knocking off each other. So, I mean, in the defense, I mean, Detroit's defense is like, that's their number one. It's not a certain position that they need to take care of. They need to take care of their entire defense.
Detroit's what?
The non-existent defense that they have.
Oh, okay. What are we talking about?
They need to fix that. And at the end of the day, you're comparing the kind of mentality of two different organizations as compared to these two players. Like the situations, yes, they both got injured and they both had the opportunity to come back, but Kenny Gallaudet literally had nothing to play for it when he comes back. So, hey let me go rest my body.
Right now, as to why he's not number 2 on my list.
Fair, and I get that. And like I said,
he didn't play for that. He played for where he's at right now.
True.
Which is funny. You didn't even ask me where he's at on my list.
Where is he?
Number 3. We're arguing over 2 and 3. No, I'm saying.
We literally have them in the same spots. But what I'm saying is that I think in that Chicago example, like you said, you said that you don't feel like Kenny Gallaudet can fill that void. I definitely think that he can, only because he would. This is assuming, because the only way that we would end up getting any of these guys is if we had a quarterback.
Okay.
That we get.
Who did Allen? You right. True. True. However, I want to ask you this question.
What's that?
Who did Allen Robinson replace when he came to Chicago? Like, who was the big guy he replaced?
Nobody. We didn't have anybody.
Oh, we had somebody.
No, we didn't.
A year or so before he.
Alshon Jeffrey.
Thank you. Alshon Jeffrey, Kenny Gallaudet. I'm talking about not the same. The same mentality. Alshon Jeffrey is a talent. He does not have that dog in him. And because Brandon Marshall had it, not him. He was the guy who came by and just made the catches and kept going, while Brandon Marshall had to be the one with 5 people hanging on him, and he still make the catch. And and then Brandon Marshall got hurt. And Alshon Jeffrey just came out there and just kept on doing his little thing. Wasn't making all the catches all of a sudden, and then his numbers started to come down. And then, then they get rid of Brandon Marshall. Yeah. We got Alshon Jeffrey. He did all these great things. Blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, Alshon Jeffries can't stay on the field. Yeah. Alshon Jeffries just getting pushed out of bounds. Alshon Jeffries went from 1,000 yards to about 800 yards, from 800 yards to 700 something yards. Like to now playing, 13 games to he plays 9 games. It was just a decline. But the point, the most consistent thing I would see is, oh man, he made this spectacular catch over 3 people, and he just smiles and throws the ball down, and he just trots back over to the sideline. And I'm just like, man, when is this dude gonna go next level on this team with this type of talent? And he never did it. He went to Philadelphia, did the exact same thing. Difference is he was on a much better team. They had a better supporting cast. Still a great talent. When I see Kenny Gallaudet, unfortunately, I've only seen him in Detroit.
Yeah,
he did. That's the sample size I have. He looks like Alshon Jeffrey. But by all means, I think Kenny Gallaudet is a talent out of this world. But I ain't never seen no dog in him though. And being in Detroit, you probably can't have it. It does not exist.
I'm just gonna say this, Kenny Gallaudet, if you're listening, Curtis 4's views do not reflect that of Curtis 5's views. I think that you did the right thing.
Comparing this man to Alshon Jeffries is not a slight. That's all I'm saying.
Honestly, after what we saw with Alshon Jeffrey,
Alshon Jeffries is a Super Bowl champion, first of all, and he played for Chicago, our beloved Chicago Bears. He played serviceable while he was here. He just was no dog. That's all I was saying.
I agree with your Alshon Jeffrey point. I do not agree with Kenny Gallaudet.
I don't know what you seen in Detroit, because I know what I seen. I seen Alshon Jeffries in a Kenny Gallaudet jersey.
I am taking the Detroit aspect.
Y'all heard it here. Y'all heard it here first.
The Matt Stafford, and I'm taking the Kenny Gallaudet away from the Detroit. That's what I am doing. I am taking those two things and I am separating them
until we see it.
I saw it.
I stand on my words. Kenny Gallaudet, prove me wrong.
Let's mark it down right now. It is.
I want to see him have the greatest year ever. Prove me wrong, Kenny Gallaudet.
23rd. At 8:42
we gonna have a Kenny Gallaudet challenge. Show me up. Show me you better than Alshon Jeffries, please. I'm not talking about Alshon Jeffries last year. I'm talking about the good Alshon Jeffries, the prime.
I am 100% pulling up this clip the second I get the opportunity in this season. Kenny Gallaudet, please prove me right. I am 100% behind Kenny Gallaudet. I think that you are by far leaps and bounds more of a talent.
Mr. Gallaudet, if you're listening to this, I mean no disrespect, but I stand by what I stated. And I'm speaking. Let me explain what I'm speaking to. If anybody don't understand the context, this is really more of I'm speaking to Detroit.
Exactly.
More.
This is what you're.
However, that does not change my view of Gallaudet simply because he has not played anywhere besides Detroit until he's and which is what we're talking about right now, his destinations. If he re-signs with Detroit, game on. Yeah. Game on next year. I can't wait. You better hope he don't re-sign with Detroit.
I really, Kenny Gallaudet, please go somewhere else, because Detroit's not going to get it done for you.
I'm not going to lose no sleep, because you know what? I want to be wrong. Please, I just don't think I am. That's the thing.
I don't want to see it happen, but please, even if it takes you having to go jump ship and go to Green Bay, please.
Prove me wrong.
Please.
Prove me wrong, because right now.
Because I know what your talent is. I know what his talent is.
I know what it is, too. I just know what I've seen.
You've seen Detroit. That's what you've been seeing.
That's what Detroit do to you. And right now, he is not. Well, moving
Number 4 on the list.
Who you got?
I mean, we already talked about Antonio Brown. I mean, I guess
he's my number 4.
Oh, okay. So we've already had the discussion. I guess it's kind of a toss-up for me right now for number 5. Then T.Y. and Juju. What are your thoughts on that?
I lost T.Y. on the list, and I ended up
really?
He's so far that it's not even based on a ranking at this point. I just had to add him.
You forgot to.
No,
okay.
the top part is, but yeah, I left out T.Y. Don't ask me
So
how.
no, well, so here, let me start with this. The reason why it's kind of a toss up between Juju and Ty for me is that at this point I see Ty as a number 2, and I've always seen Juju as a number 2. But Juju is younger. He does have the opportunity to grow. I think if he gets out of Pittsburgh, he will have the opportunity wherever he ends up going to really thrive wherever he goes.
I agree with that.
But at the end of the day, Ty, he's really just been hampered by injuries. And at the end of the day, if he was healthy all these years since he's been drafted, I mean, we'd be probably talking about him in a completely different light.
Right.
So I really think Ty is one of these guys that he's kind of underrated when it comes to the NFL world. In the wide receiver position, he's was there throughout all of Andrew Luck's tenure. He was there with the Phillip Rivers situation here. So I mean,
if I had to rank him, I didn't rank him, but if I had to, I don't think he cracks my top 10, actually. And that's not a slight. It's just I like the other, and it's not taking anything. It's taking what you said. He's 30. You know, what is he? 30 or 31 right now?
31.
31. He's coming off a series of just injuries over the last several years.
Yeah.
You know, at best he's going to be, you know, a mid-range number 2 guy for you. And that's fine. And nothing wrong with that. That doesn't make number 5 on my list. I think there's more comparable talent that's sitting there that has way more upside than what he would have right now. With that being said, I mean, I have 25 guys listed here, but not that I'm running through 25. I just want to make sure I had a wide range of players to discuss.
Because I only have the top 15 like big names from the wide receiver class.
And I did this on purpose just to kind of capture to kind of galvanize what you were doing with your list.
Yeah, and I would put T.Y. Hilton because guys in that age range. I mean, obviously Larry Fitzgerald, he's up there. He's 37. You got AJ Green, Antonio Brown, who else? Marvin Jones. So I would put T.Y. towards the top of that age range. I mean, Antonio Brown might be above him, but at this, I think the only reason why that is right now is only because T.Y. Hilton's injury history right now is you never know if you're going to have him for all. You would want to have your wide receiver for at least 15 games a season, 14, 15 games. Maybe you sit him for a couple of weeks just to, hey, let's get rejuvenated, let's get fresh, whatever it may be. But if you're sitting out 6, 7, 8 games a season, at the end of the day, your best ability is availability. And if you're not on that field, you're really, what are we paying you for? That's the only issue with Ty. I mean, if he can find a situation where he could be, like you said, that mid-range number 2 guy, where he doesn't have to come up and be that number 1 guy, or even for that matter, if he can possibly find a situation where he's the number 3, where he can just go play ball, go run your routes, just run your routes, and we'll get you the ball when we need you.
Can I read some numbers? I'm gonna read 2 sets of numbers to you, and you just tell me what you think. 102 receptions. 1,250 yards and 6 touchdowns. All right. Then we got 56 receptions, 762 yards, and 5 touchdowns. You need me to repeat that?
Repeat the yardage.
Okay. Which one?
Both of them.
Okay. 1250 for the first one.
And 6 touchdowns.
And 6 touchdowns.
And then what's the line for the second one?
762 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Receptions.
56 receptions.
Jesus.
Okay, you see those numbers?
You said 6 touchdowns, right?
102 receptions, 1,250 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
And then the second one?
56 receptions, 762 yards, and 5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns.
All right.
Man.
You want to know the significance of those 2 numbers?
Well, the fact that it's half the amount of receptions, but you're still getting those red zone targets, and you're only 500 yards behind. Who are these 2?
Okay, the first line is Allen Robinson.
Wow.
Second one, T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share it. I like considering that guy sat out all them years. I mean, sat out that many games.
Yeah.
He got to work He did. He got to work very quickly, and I mean he put some work in and
that's
very
the
little,
thing.
very small sample size there.
And that's what I would love to see. Like, come on, please, can you stay healthy for a full season? Because I want to see what those numbers would have been. Like at the end of the day, like T.Y.
This is
Hilton,
why I just couldn't rank them, but I don't.
and that's the thing with me because I'm
Yeah.
sitting here because the only reason why anybody would really know Ty as much as if you're outside or just being a football buff is fantasy football. T.Y. Hilton's one of those guys every single year. You're just sitting there over the last 2-3 years now is you're just like, dang, I want to take him, but those injuries, man. And that's the thing that you keep saying. And that's what probably all these GMs are saying. And what Chris Ballard's been saying, it's like, you're so good. You're so good, but you just can't stay on the field. And that's where it comes down to, like I said, the best ability is availability. And if you're not out there on the field, why are we paying you? And it's
Man,
just,
could you imagine him with the Chiefs? I could say this about every player.
just about.
Oh my God, I did that in my head. I'm like, I can do this for
and that's
everybody.
what I'm saying. If Ty can find that position where you're the number 3 guy, go to Kansas City.
Oh my God,
you're the number 3 guy.
Don't even have to play 16 games.
Yeah, you play 8.
We play 8. We just need you for
what you've
every
been
other
doing
week
for the last 4 years.
We'll play you on the even weeks.
Exactly.
You choose even odds.
No, we'll play you on the odd weeks because then you get to play in week 1.
500 yard game,
exactly.
Game there.
No, and so that's what I'm saying. It's just like those. I think he would be able to still get that exact stat line: 56, 762, and 5 touchdowns in that Kansas City offense, in an offense like that. Anyway, maybe you go to Tampa Bay, do the same thing.
One game.
It's okay. I mean, I can see him returning back to Indianapolis, but I think Indianapolis really needs to make sure that they go out and get more talent around Carson Wentz, more weapons, because Ty can't be the number 1 option anymore. And that's not, like I said, this is not to rag on Ty for being injured. It happens to everybody. Injuries is a part of the NFL. It's very unfortunate that we've seen this happen to Ty over the last 3-4 years, but that's football for you. So, I mean, we really want to, if he can prolong his career, stay around for another 3-4 years, the only way that's going to happen is that he's the bona fide number 2 guy. He can't be the number 1 anymore.
I know. Oh God, I shouldn't do this, but it's more so about Indianapolis. It's not about free agency whatsoever. Did you hear about the Michael Pittman thing?
Oh yeah, and
oh my God, I'd be remiss not to bring this up.
Yeah, and I was gonna blow past it because we already talked about Carson Wentz and all that stuff. But
you keep coming back, circling and ragging about Indianapolis. I just like, can we talk about this for really quick?
Yeah, I mean, really quick. I mean, what are your thoughts on what Michael Pittman had to come out and say?
You know, I didn't get a chance to formulate my opinion because I got the privilege of listening to Keyshawn Johnson talk about it.
Oh, I didn't get to. What did he say?
Oh my gosh, he put it so eloquently. Like, look here, if I'm the starting franchise quarterback, let me explain. You can say whatever you want to say. You could be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. You know, if he wants to sit here and pay me such and such, I don't really feel comfortable taking such and such amount. First of all, I'm not paying you a cent. Second, I don't know what number. I'm going over to the coaches and let this. Y'all better reassign this guy another 80-something designation because first of all, this number ain't yours. It ain't even a receiver's number. I am the starting quarterback. I am the franchise. Therefore, we're not negotiating what number I'm going to wear. I know this is about numbers. However, it was just in the grand scheme of things. That's kind of what he was saying. I understand. I almost want to champion that sentiment because in my mind I'm thinking like, who are you?
I respect it, and I get that point of view, and I totally get it. But I respect what Michael Pittman's saying, only because, and this is the only reason why. If this was any other quarterback that's coming on a big blockbuster trade like this is, but Carson Wentz, you're coming off of 2 back-to-back seasons where you've underperformed, and this is the reason why you're getting traded for a bag of chips in a candy bar, basically. So, I mean, because you didn't play well. And again, this is what I've said about Philadelphia is I think this is more of an organizational thing than it is Carson Wentz not being able to play. But Carson Wentz, you need to be better at decision-making. You need to be able to make those decisions better. You shouldn't be having as many turnovers as you've had over the last few years. So, at the end of the day, I mean, this just happened last year with the whole Chris Godwin, Tom Brady situation. Nobody's going to question the GOAT. He didn't even have to come out and start talking about that number yet before Chris Godwin said, "Hey, I'm willing to give it over to Tom Brady." That's because it's Tom freaking Brady. It's not Carson Wentz, who's coming off of unfortunate situation. And so Michael Pittman. Cool, you're standing up for you being a rookie, and this is your number. And my only thing is that this really isn't your number, only because you didn't even have this number back in college. So at the end of the day, if you're gonna be standing tall about it, I think Michael Pittman needs to be standing tall to go get paid for the number, and I think Carson Wentz should have to pay for it. I think that any quarterback coming into a situation like this should do right by their wide receivers, give them. I mean, it's $100K off of your salary. How much are you getting paid this year?
That wasn't. I didn't question whether he should pay him. It was funny. Keyshawn Johnson stated he wouldn't pay him a cent. So I was like, wow. I just like the way he presented it. I was like, oh, I champion that. But
I respect that. But the only reason why I don't agree with that for this specific situation is because Carson Wentz is coming off 2 back-to-back disappointing seasons. And I don't think anybody is going to question that. And that's the whole reason why he got traded in the first place, is because if he played,
got some more numbers for you.
What's that?
Let's go. 40 receptions. 503 yards, and a touchdown.
Yep.
You don't get to command nothing at that point.
Yes and no. Again, you're a rookie, and that's the thing about rookie wide receivers, though, is that those numbers really never are good if you're a rookie wide receiver. And they were really trying to figure out if they wanted to play him at tight end or if they wanted to play
which
him.
Is why he doesn't have an 80 designate. And this is kind of what Keyshawn was bringing up. And that's what I was kind of like, it makes more sense. Like, you kind of got one of the leftover numbers, but when that's being said and done, you have a quarterback's number. That's because that's anything.
I agree. But at the end of the day, I think that if this wouldn't be a question if this was just, Carson Wentz has played fantastic like Deshaun Watson has in Houston, and he's coming over to come get number 4 from whoever, then yes, you give up that number. But if it's Carson Wentz, where you're coming off of a suspect season where everything has been in shambles, that entire organization is in shambles, what your future is in shambles. What are we talking about here? You don't command. Carson Wentz's numbers don't command the respect to command that number, as well as Michael Pittman's numbers don't command respect to come and talk to me that way.
True.
But you have to also take into account that Michael Pittman never really came out and was just like, did you hear his soundbite?
I heard part of it.
He really wasn't being disrespectful. He really wasn't coming out and kind of being demonstrative about it. He wasn't trying to be kind of aggressive about it.
I didn't get that either. What I got was kind of.
He's like, it's my number. Like in the whole conversation that Carson Wentz and Michael Pittman had, the sense that I got was that Carson Wentz basically just brought it up. He was just like, well, we're both number 11. What's your thoughts? And he's like, it's my number. Like, I haven't really thought about giving it up. Carson Wentz has said that he's been thinking about changing his number in the first place anyway. So at the end of the day, I think if Carson Wentz wants a fresh start and he wants to change his number, go ahead and do it, because just the symbolism behind it, that this is a different guy. This is not what the last 2-3 years has been. This is a different situation. Let's restart. Let's be fresh. And I think this is, and somebody else brought this up, was that it's more of like a test for Carson Wentz. Is you've been said to be a guy that's been difficult to work with. You've been a guy that's said to kind of be a little bit kind of abrasive in the locker room, this, that, and the other. You come into a situation, now you're demanding and you're entitled to this, you're entitled to that. No, I'm going to earn your respect. My stats haven't backed it up the last 2 years. I'm going to come into this situation. I'm going to get your respect. I'm going to get you your touches. You're going to become a better wide receiver because of me. So is T.Y. Jonathan Taylor is going to benefit from this. Our defense is going to benefit from me being here. I'm going to be the leader of the Indianapolis Colts moving forward. So I don't need that. This number is obsolete in all of this. So I think this is also kind of a test, and this is why Chris Ballard and Frank Reich haven't gotten involved in it, because they want to see how Carson Wentz is going to respond to a situation like this. And if he is able to just say, hey, I don't need 11 to play football. Let's go. Give me 15. Give me 12. Give whatever the number is. I don't care. Let's play football. That's what I want to do.
Got it. I think in all fairness, there should be a, basically a, best 2 out of 3 rock, scissors, paper, competition for
sure.
this number. I think that's the best way and the only way to settle this. We got to settle this. So I mean,
no, it's a funny situation. It was because I woke up.
Not a serious situation at all.
I woke up to that situation. And I was just like, we're really in this dead period of sports when this situation is literally like being talked about on every sports talk show across the nation right now. And so I was just like, wow, it kind of caught me by surprise because there's so much other things to talk about, but this kind of caught like an hour on everybody's show.
Right. And then it's like number 11, like. That doesn't really do anything when I hear it.
Either knock off one of those ones and just go with one, or go down one number and go to 10.
That was my. I was like, just wear one and we're good. Unless that's retired for some reason. I
don't know.
I gotta look up Unitas. No, Unitas was 19.
Yeah,
so that's not it. So yeah,
he's got. I think Carson Wentz, and like I said, the symbolism of changing your number, I think for Carson Wentz would be a nice thing for him, just to really make sure that we cement that this is a new, fresh start for him.
Yeah, that worked out really well for Michael Jordan.
Fair.
I digress.
There's more wide receivers to talk about here. I mean, we've talked about T.Y. Let's talk about Juju a little bit here.
Yes.
Like I said, I think that he has a little bit of a better upside of being at the number 5 free agent wide receiver, just for his age, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then also if he's able, I mean, I think he has more upside outside of Pittsburgh than he does inside of Pittsburgh. If he stays in Pittsburgh, this is just going to be let's run it back, and we're going to be looking at a situation.
What was your take in Pittsburgh last year with him? Like, if you had to it's a quick synopsis. What did you get? What feel did you get?
I really wouldn't take anything out of this season. I mean, culminating his entire career, I've always said that he's a number 2. He's not a number 1. He needs another guy. He needs at least another number 2 to be more effective.
Okay.
And I don't think Chase Claypool is that guy in Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, I think Chase Claypool is a number 3. He's more of a kind of a gadget guy to me.
Okay.
But also, I've been saying it for the last 2-3 seasons. Big Ben to me has been regressing, and I know last year he was the leading quarterback with 5,000 yards and all that. But at the end of the day, I'm talking about big moments.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing against guys, and you're playing against teams that, in all honesty, haven't really put it all together yet. When it came to his 5,000 yard season, and also when it came down to it, you completely crumbled. in those big moments, and then you had the season where you get injured, and then you come back and you guys have some success as a team. His numbers weren't as good, but your team is having success. But then you're also going against crap teams for those first 12 weeks, and then boom, you start to get to those tougher teams, and then all of a sudden your entire team's falls apart, and Big Ben really struggled. He had that one good game against Indianapolis, one good second half against Indianapolis where he led them to that comeback. But outside of that, he really had no really key moments in the last 5-6 weeks.
So how do these numbers sound to you? And I know I'm throwing a few numbers out here, but that's just for the sake of this segment. I'm not getting really deeper into me just repeating these numbers. But 42 receptions, 552 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Is that Claypool or
no?
Juju?
That's Juju.
Oh man, that's bad. I really do, and it's because the only other
person.
Was
a comma there, but I'll let you finish your statement.
Sorry. You can
no, it's a comma. There's a reason why I'm saying it. There's a comma, but say what you got to say because I'm gonna come right behind you and finish what I need to say. I want to lead up numbers with you though.
No, these numbers. You have to be better. You as a number 1 wide receiver, 42 receptions on the season is not good enough.
I agree. Now, this is the thing I did not tell you. That's from 2019.
Oh, that's still bad. What is this here?
Okay, 97 receptions, 831 yards, and 9 touchdowns.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's 97 receptions definitely as a number 1. Definitely that's better. I feel like you have to be better in the between the 20s.
Which is fair. I wanted to just, considering what you stated,
yeah,
I wanted to paint a picture of what let me give you some really dismal numbers that he do really have.
Yeah.
And then I looked at this year and I'm like, he did not pass the eye test. I just want to say that to me. But his numbers passed the eye. His numbers should have passed the eye test, but it
to
didn't.
a degree. because like I said, between the 20s is where you get that yardage.
Right.
And so when you're trying to drive down the field, if you're not being looked at or you're not creating big plays between the 20s, you're doing your work in the red zone, getting 9 touchdowns, obviously, right. But you're not really getting those big plays in between the 20s to really try to change the momentum of the game or try to keep momentum on your side throughout the game, where you're kind of putting that dagger to these guys. Yeah. And especially, I mean, I would like to break down those numbers, kind of extrapolate that over the last few weeks. What were his numbers over the last 6 weeks of the season? Because I really feel like that team as a whole, the entire offense fell apart.
Well, quickly, I can tell you, he had his lowest average yards per catch of his career at 8.6 yards, and that was far under double digits, which was the only year that he hit under 10 yards.
So I think that also is a product of Ben Roethlisberger not being able to drive the ball down the field. And so I think that Pittsburgh really has a lot of stuff to figure out. I know that they're in talks with Big Ben can possibly be on the market, or they're trying to kind of break up his contract over the next few years to try to kind of soften that cap hit that he has. But also I just think that I think this might be the end of this era where, I mean, we already see New England kind of fall to pieces. Pittsburgh, I think, is going to fall at this point. They're going to kind of take a back seat, and some of these younger AFC teams are now. I think this is really kind of the changing of the guard in the NFL, where a lot of these younger teams are going to start to take over, and the younger players are going to start to get more of this recognition as. Possibly we're seeing Drew Brees retire. Phillip Rivers is already gone. So it's really going to be up to Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Patrick Mahomes, all these younger quarterbacks to kind of lead this new wave of superstars in the NFL.
All right. Well, his number. I pulled his numbers up, and what exactly you wanted to see for the last 6 weeks?
Just what were his receptions and yardage? Not necessarily touchdowns, but just receptions and yardage over the last few games of the season. Because this is.
I'll just take the last 4 weeks.
Yeah,
let's go from that.
Those were some of the bigger games that they had in the last 4 weeks of the season. So
let's see. He was 7 for 28. 6 for 55, 3 for 15, and then 9 for 96.
Like, again, if you're another number one receiver, 3 for 56, come on. Like, you're the number one.
No, 3 for 15.
So, 3 for 15. Or what was it, 6 for 56?
6 for 55, 9 for 96.
Yeah, okay.
And 7 for 28.
You have to do better than that. 7 times you got, because that's just receptions.
28.
That's not even including the targets that you got. Where we know you drop 1 or 2 a game.
10 targets, 7 receptions, 28 yards.
Come on, like that's what I'm saying. Like if you're gonna be a number one, you need to be that guy, and I just don't see Juju as that guy. And this also goes back to the maturity when we're having you doing TikTok dances in pregame against on the middle of these guys' logos, when you're just drawing that attention to yourself, right? And you're also coming out with the comment, the same old Browns, and that's where the maturity needs to come. And that, again, he is only 24. That's going to come as he continues to play football and he continues to learn from these vets that are going to come out and tell him, hey, dude, you can't do this stuff. This is what puts a target on your back, because when you're doing stuff, you're disrespecting other teams' logos. You can do that stuff at home. Go ahead and do it. You can do that on the road. Just don't do it on their logo. That's the disrespectful part, and that's what comes out. And you saw it with that Cincinnati game where he got absolutely lit up and fumbled that ball against Cincinnati. They lost the game against the Cincinnati Bengals without Joe Burrow. Just think about that. And that's because they were all motivated to absolutely attack that offense because of the disrespectful comments before the game. So that's where I think that a lot of that stuff comes in. And I think Juju, he's got a lot to learn, but I think that he would be better off moving on from Pittsburgh, going somewhere else, and he'll have more success elsewhere, I feel, just because I don't see, with the salary cap situation with Pittsburgh, them being able to put together a team that's really going to be able to compete for a championship.
Do you think Coach Mike Tomlin lost the locker room this year?
I don't think he lost the locker room. I think he lost Big Ben, and I think that's perfectly fine. Only because I think that they need to move on from Big Ben. I think that he really, because that defense played fantastic all season long. They never really missed a beat. The offense is what fell apart. And I think that that's Big Ben's side of the ball. Whoever, I don't even know who the offensive coordinator is because it really doesn't matter. But Mike Tomlin,
they won't be there long.
Mike Tomlin kept a lot of the guys in line. I think the only person that stepped out of line was Big Ben and Juju Smith-Schuster, and that's because they're with this old guard where it was Big Ben, the Triple Bs, with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, and they thought that Big Ben still had that type of superstar status. When you're not able to play up to that level, you can't act the way that you act.
Right.
So that's just where I come in, and that's what I think about Mike. I think Mike Tomlin still has that entire locker room. T.J. Watt over there. Everybody, Bud Dupree, the entire defensive side of the ball is still 100% in lockstep with Mike Tomlin because they saw that they were able to have so much success with him just being able to lead that side of the ball at least.
Got it. All right. At number 6, what you got?
I think the rest of them, I think it kind of falls off a little bit. I mean, Corey Davis is definitely a guy from Tennessee that I think needs to kind of garner some attention.
He's my sleeper at 6.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, me and you are just
we're spot on.
On all of these.
I kid you not, never looked at his notes.
No.
Never discussed this list.
Yeah, so Corey Davis, he's a guy that I think definitely can garner a lot of attention when it comes to some of these other guys once they start to shore up their situations for sure. The other guy that I would say possible sleeper here is Curtis Samuel from Carolina.
I got him at 11.
Oh, okay.
That one dropped.
Okay, gotcha. Well, who do you have above him?
At 7, I got Will Fuller.
Oh.
I know he's injury prone. However,
that's why I have him much lower.
But his last year was not because of an injury. He was suspended. He kamikazed his own year when he finally had a healthy season. So when I got to see him, I'm just riding his momentum.
Yeah.
And he was in Houston. Nothing good's going on in Houston.
I get that. I just from the years before the injuries.
Completely understand what
it's just where I'm at the point where I'm like, even in fantasy, I'm just like Will Fuller. He's almost one of those guys that are just on my do not draft list, because of his situation with injuries, and I don't know if he's ever gonna get past that. He is only 26 years old, so. Obviously, he has some time to correct that, but he doesn't have a lot of time, and that's the issue.
True. But his numbers look very good.
And they do. When he's on the field, he's good. He's definitely a game changer. It's just, again, your best ability is availability, and if you're not on that field, if you're constantly injured, again, why? Why do we have you on our roster if you're just not going to be able to play? And like you said, last year was not that case. It was a suspension, but...
I mean, he got suspended. He had 879 yards, 8 touchdowns.
This was going to be his breakout year.
He's at number 7. I'm sorry, because everybody else that's under him did not even. I get it. You know what? It's his 7, but 7 from 7 to 11 is all interchangeable.
Will Fuller would have been high. Like he is higher on my list. He's not 11. He's not, like we're talking about
Corey talent, Davis, right? I mean, granted, I would put him. It's just that's why I have a 7. I mean, but yeah,
but you have other guys like Sami Watkins on this list, AJ Green. Who else is on here? Nelson Aguilar, Marvin Jones. Like these are guys that just I would take Will Fuller over all of those guys. For me, I wouldn't, because you have Will Fuller over Corey Davis. So that's my only thing.
No, I have Corey Davis then Will Fuller. Will Fuller's 7.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Cool.
But you said Curtis Samuel.
Curtis Samuel is the guy that you have lower. Yeah, I would take Curtis Samuel over Will Fuller for sure.
Okay. Which is
he's
potato.
He's
if
not
that's
injury prone,
if you feel he's a good fit,
yeah,
I don't have a problem with that. It's just you just asked me who I had at 7.
Yeah,
that's who I had.
No, and I get that. And so the only other person there's 2 people that I want to talk about on this list left. Alan Lazard. From Green Bay. He is a restricted free agent, but there's some other clause that comes with that. I think that it's tied to another pick. Is he even on your list?
He's not even on my list.
Okay.
I know it's fine. It's kind of funny. It's like, he's not on my list.
The only reason he's not the guy that I really want to have a long, drawn out conversation.
He's a free agent.
He's a restricted free agent. So,
oh, that's why he's not on my list.
Yeah. So that's the only thing is that I just wanted to get your thoughts on what Green Bay should do when it comes to Allen Lazard, because obviously they need to go get somebody else, but I think that Allen Lazard kind of had a mini breakout season this year where he was more, I felt like he was more reliable down the stretch than MVS was. And so that's the only thing was like, who would you rather have, MVS or Allen Lazard on your team?
I would actually have Lazard. Lazard has the size. He may not have the speed per se, like an MVS, but he has the size and he's quick enough.
But if you're just a route runner, I think that's because again, put him in the Kansas City offense.
I was using him as the same. I was thinking of the same example because when I'm thinking of MVS, I'm thinking of Demarcus Robinson, and when I'm seeing Lazard, he's thinking of Sami Watkins, like type of play. And you need that big play, receiver, that big body receiver, to even, whether he's running the X route or he's coming down the middle and running a shallow, 15 hook route or something of that sort. I think he can help move the chains. Definitely when you have, then they got this athletic Ryan, Tunyon that's running all kind of routes all over the place. I think that helps with the up and under game, especially for Green Bay's exotic offense that they like to run, of these dump off passes and screen passes that they love to run so much. So I like him as that they will probably match whatever offer that comes that way.
That was going to be my next question. What cap number would you kind of call it at for them to match for?
Well, okay, if we want to determine, is he a number 2, is he a number 3? Well, he's young. He's somewhere between a 2 and a 3, but based on market value, I can't see this man maybe at the most $12 million a year. I know I'm going, but
that's high. For me, I was gonna say like 7, 8 at most. Just because for me, I would say if you are gonna keep him,
market at being a number 2. That's the only reason. Not that he put up number 2 at number because he was injured most of the year, but to retain him, that's what I'm trying.
Yeah, if you're gonna keep him,
because remember,
you also have to go get somebody else because you need a bona fide number 2.
I understand that. So that's what. So I guess the question would let's restate the question. So, will it take 7 to 8 million to get him out of Green Bay? That's what the real question is.
Would anybody else pay that?
But see, this is the thing. Green Bay doesn't have to do anything. They just have to sit back and match the offer first.
Yeah, well, they do have to put down. I think that's what the the special restricted free agency class he's under. They do have to put a tender on him.
Oh, really?
To begin. I believe so. I can't remember exactly. I'll look it up later, and I'll put something in the description.
Mm-hmm.
But you would have to put a tender on him to begin with, whether it's a first, second, or a third round tender or whatever it is, to retain the rights to him. And then whoever makes that offer, they can either match or you get that pick. So
okay.
You get, I think it's a compensatory pick that you get back for that.
Got it.
So
it gets a little murky when it gets to the restricted side.
I am trying so hard to understand the ins and outs of NFL free agency when it comes to the different tenders that got to be put on guys, the different team options, player options, restricted free agent.
Right.
There's so many different classifications on it. It is a little bit wonky. So I will look that up and I'll probably put it in the description of this episode. So if anybody is wondering, go look down there.
I'll be wondering
to make sure that you understand exactly what needs to happen for Allen Lazard to be retained by Green Bay.
Right.
But moving on, I guess I lied. There are 2 other people to talk about because you did bring him up earlier here talking about Kansas City. Sami Watkins is a free agent.
Yep.
Where do you see the market for him? Because I don't see him returning to Kansas City. I don't see Kansas City extending an offer back to him.
I don't either. I think they're going to let him test the market. But it's man. I'm not sure. Sami Watkins is an interesting guy because I'm not sure where his market will be. If I had to go on a limb, somebody could use his services. Could definitely see this guy over there on the West Coast, maybe with the Rams. The Rams are definitely need another receiver or someone
I don't think they need another Sammy Watkins type though. Because they've already got Robert Woods, you've already got Cooper Kupp. I don't think you need a Sammy Watkins to fill it. I think you need like a more physical guy for the red zone. That's my only thing, and I think that would definitely help out Matthew Stafford down there, because once you get down into that red zone, Matthew Stafford, yes, he's still athletic, he's still a little bit mobile, but he's not like a Jimmy Garoppolo even. Like, he's not a Russell Wilson. Like, he's definitely not a Kyler Murray. Like, he can move, he can get out of the pocket and extend plays, but he's definitely not going to be that guy that can rely on his legs. So when you get to the red zone, I don't see the Rams going after a Sammy Watkins, only because they've already got two guys like that.
I mean, you can almost place him anywhere. I mean, you kind of, as you was mentioning, as you was talking, I was thinking maybe possibly Seattle, because Seattle always had this issue with their number 3.
Yeah.
Because David Moore was always a distant number 3 on it. I mean, since he's been in Seattle, where they really don't have a number 3.
DJ Moore?
Is it DJ Moore?
I don't know his name. I never knew it.
I thought it was David Moore. No.
It might be. I honestly have no idea.
It's David Moore. it really, but he's such a distant 3. That's exactly. We're sitting here, struggling to remember his first name, but we do know it starts with a D, so that's good enough. But definitely could replace him, But with that being said, no matter who they replaced in Seattle, no one has ever emerged, whether it's been a tight end or a receiver.
And I think that's a proponent to the offense that they run, though.
Right.
I don't know if it's because of the guy. Because it kind of reminds me of what is his name, Robbie Anderson in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody was like, well, he was supposed to be this big guy, and he never really panned out. And then he goes to Carolina, and he had a fantastic year last year. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know where he would fit. Like, I think Sammy Watkins.
I got one more designation I think would actually be a good fit for him. Being that he's a veteran, this team is kind of going through a transition right now. They're not exactly sure fully what their identity is going to be next year as a whole. And once I say it, you understand why I said all this. But I think it's the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
I'm just saying that, See how that offense is kind of set, but OBJ, not kind of set?
Yeah,
exactly.
You have no idea what's happening with OBJ right now. And I think, and let's just get this out of the way right now, I think Odell Beckham should be traded. I think that Baker Mayfield played so much better without the pressure of having to get OBJ the ball.
Right.
That I think if you trade him, you're not going to get what New York got back for him.
Nobody's going to get that.
You're not going to get a big deal. You're not going to get a big trade to happen here. This is going to be, I'm dumping that contract. I'm going to get second, maybe you're going to get a Carson Wentz contract.
I was just about, you're going to get a Carson Wentz deal.
So I think that would probably be ideal for both of them. I think OBJ needs to get to a place where, not that he's the number 1 guy, that he's just the quarterback doesn't feel like he has to change the way that he plays to get him the touches.
Right.
And I think if he can find a situation, maybe he goes and fills in where possibly Antonio Brown leaves in Tampa Bay and goes ring chasing. That's just I'm just throwing that out there. I'm saying that he goes to a place where there's a quarterback already in place that doesn't have to compromise the way that he plays to get OBJ touches. That's really all it is. I think that Baker Mayfield just felt the pressure of getting him the ball so much, and once he didn't have to, he just played so much better football this season.
And Odell Beckham is he's still on contract.
Yeah, he's under contract.
Okay.
This would have to be a trade.
Had to be a trade. Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
So the only other guy that I really wanted to talk about to wrap up the wide receiver segment of this podcast is Larry Fitzgerald. He is an unrestricted free agent. This is going to be a quick conversation. I think Larry Fitzgerald needs to retire. And this is not to rag on him. He actually had a decent year last year. For his age.
Yes. Yeah,
so at the end of the day,
and he plays sparingly. He did not play, he didn't play all the downs, all the snaps.
And I just feel bad because he never got that title, and I think he's one of those guys that definitely deserves to be one of the greats of the wide receiver position, just because the type of guy that he is. Even though he's Mr. Reliable, every single game he's going to be out there to do whatever he can to be that consistent guy for whatever quarterback he's playing for.
Right.
And then he's doing everything in the community as well.
Well, Tampa, Kansas City, y'all up.
maybe one more run.
Larry Fitzgerald's out there. I guess I said that to say I think that would be his best fits.
Okay.
Because you imagine like a Larry, because say he got everything but the ring. Okay, let's put him in Baltimore. I don't like how that fits. That's what I said. But to see him in Kansas City, and to be fair, because some people don't think I'm just being a homer right now, but to see him in Tampa Bay, not bad fits at all. I think he'll flourish in these offenses.
I mean,
if this is what he wanted to do. I don't even know if he wants to leave, to be honest.
He might play again in Arizona. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know what his kind of outlook is for this season.
Right.
So I mean, if he is looking to hang him up, I think that I don't think that the last few years has tainted his legacy in any stretch of imagination. I think it's cemented. It's cemented for him. He's played fantastic football already. Yeah. It's just he at this point, I don't think he can offer too much to any middling team, like you said, Kansas City or Tampa Bay. But outside of those guys or teams that are almost a shoo-in for Super Bowl contention, it's pretty sparse for him.
I agree. Well, I know you're rounding up your list, but go ahead.
Sorry, no, I know you have
quite
a few more than me.
I just have names. We cover them, we don't cover them.
List them off.
So just to round off the rest of some more notable names is where I was going with this. You got Marvin Jones, coming out of Detroit.
Yeah. By the way, Detroit has 0 wide receivers on their roster as we sit and talk today. So Detroit's definitely going to be one of these teams that are in the market for wide receivers, or they're supposed to be. I think that they have a lot of other things that they need to address before that, though. But
I think that's a good thing for them because it's almost clean slate.
Yeah, I would say don't even try to go. They're probably going to try to retain Kenny Gallaudet, but I think Detroit should just let him walk and restart fresh. I know you got Jared Goff there as your quarterback right now, but
no, I understand this. If they're gonna do a fresh start, this will be the time. Yeah. Do it right.
Go get some draft picks and go get somebody else that's in free agency. Don't try to go back for the guys that you've already had here.
Exactly. You already mentioned Nelson Aguilar at number 10.
Yeah, I think his market's going to be very low. He's going to be a number 3 wherever he goes.
He is, but if he gets to the right place, I think he's going to be very valuable.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he has no value. I'm just saying that I don't think that any team is going to be looking to make him not that they're going to try to make him a key part. I think that he's going to have to earn his stripes wherever he goes.
True, and these are bargain buys. These are not players that's going to break the bank whatsoever. And if you get the right guy in the right system, you got something special for really pennies on a dollar here. Yeah. Then I had at 11. Questionable. And you said 11. It wasn't a hard number, but I put in Curtis Samuel. So
I still can't believe you have him that low. I think I know you probably don't watch Carolina.
No, it's the way they used him, and I think it was more suited to what Carolina did with him, as what kind of padded his numbers a little bit more. But then it also took away from what they probably would have did with him originally. He just played. I don't like what Carolina did with him last year. Let me leave it at that. That's the reason why he's at 11. It's just kind of how he was utilized.
Let's talk about Carolina for just a quick second here. I just want to get your thoughts. What do you think about Matt Rule?
I haven't formulated.
Nothing yet?
No. I don't have a good feel for this guy whatsoever.
I was absolutely excited to see Matt Rule in the NFL because I watched him at Baylor. Being the head coach there, and he kind of completely retooled that entire team when he came down there, entire program. So Baylor was really good. And then when he got the nod to come to Carolina, I was like, wow, this is going to be an amazing opportunity for him. I really felt like Carolina really misused Teddy Bridgewater this year, though. I think that they tried to make him the focal point of the offense. And I know that's also a proponent to Christian McCaffrey getting hurt and whatnot.
Right.
But I think that they needed to try to kind of lean more on Mike Davis and try to just at least take the pressure off of Teddy Bridgewater a little bit more. I think they try to put too much on his plate year one, trying to kind of feel out this offense, and now it seems like they're ready to move on from him.
Yeah, and I think that had a lot to do, like you were saying, with the Christian McCaffrey thing, because we've seen Curtis Samuel in the run game, we've seen Teddy Bridgewater. All of a sudden, he's a scrambling running quarterback.
He wasn't even that in
Impromptu, it wasn't
Minnesota.
even called for him to even run. He ran plays, Then of course we had to get Mike Davis to come up. It just that's why I don't really have a feel. I think whatever he wanted to do, I think he did a great job considering the injuries that occurred on that team.
Yeah.
That I think he kept that team afloat and he kept them competitive and he kept them in contention to at least make a push for the playoffs. And they kind of fizzled out around week 13, week 14, somewhere
Just right after
right
they
at
beat
the
the
end.
Bears.
You're right. As the Bears, we know the Bears are notorious for basically changing trajectories for teams after they play them,
Exactly.
like i.e. the Rams.
Oh,
Never the same to be the same. Remember, y'all, the Bears did that. You're welcome, NFL. But yeah, with that, I don't know if we got a good sense to know. Okay, that's why I'm saying I don't have a good sense of what Matt Rule has done. I mean, he done that, and that was great. I just didn't want to
you need to see more.
yeah, him doing that was okay. That's wonderful,
That's
but
a start.
that's not enough for me to say I'm sold because in a dire situation, he can stay afloat. Okay, I don't want to see you stay afloat. I want to see if you can succeed.
Transcend.
Right,
Yeah.
Because maybe that translate into championships if y'all healthy. I don't know that, but right now, all I'm seeing is like, okay, he was able to do a lot with little.
Yeah.
But also, there was no game film.
And
the league is ready for him this year.
And what are you thinking about if the rumors are true? The Carolina's salary dumping right now to figure out a way to make a trade for Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun Watson is in this offense, what do you think the ceiling is for that team? Or do you think that, for me anyway, I think that it possibly could be another Houston situation?
No, not necessarily. Okay. I mean, it could. It's like, well, instead of you having Hopkins, you got McCaffrey. But I think that's a different dynamic. You got a Deshaun Watson with a Christian McCaffrey. I think at that point you got Curtis Samuel coming back to sign. Yeah. You still got with a DJ Moore over there.
Yeah, DJ Moore. Yep. That's the DJ Moore. Okay,
right.
Gotcha. I couldn't even remember.
Right.
DJ I had him on my fantasy team and couldn't even remember that.
Because then DK Metcalf, just these letters, But yeah, you still got DJ Moore, that's a nice nucleus, and I think that's attractive just to have just him and McCaffrey. I think, man, you think that you're gonna have 2 to 3 free agents that's just gonna want to come over just because, and really for probably a hometown discount, Okay. I know we kind of putting the cart before the horse, but I think, if you was able to get,
but what would they have to get? Because are they just going to be giving up draft picks? Because if they're giving up draft picks, then you're getting the same draft picks that Chicago could give.
I think they already tried to get rid of Bridgewater, but they, whatever they offered, I think Houston has just been like, no.
I don't think you're going to be able to trade Teddy Bridgewater until Deshaun Watson is traded.
Or I'm saying, or if they even talk to Houston might just be declining them simply because Houston ain't getting enough offers right now, or nothing that's comparable.
Well, Houston is saying that they're not even taking calls on Deshaun Watson right now, which I think that Houston is really doing their damnedest to try to become the worst franchise in NFL history. But at the end of the day, right now, what they're saying is that Nick Caserio, the new GM, David Culley, the new head coach, has said, we want to talk to Deshaun Watson before we do anything.
Right.
Which I understand and I respect it, but at the end of the day, Deshaun Watson doesn't care. And he doesn't care. He's not coming to talk to you. He's not coming to talk to Jack Easterby, and he's not coming to talk to the owner. I forget his name. But it doesn't matter at that point.
Right.
So, I get what they're trying to do, but I just feel like they're kind of missing, and they're not understanding the gravity of the situation right now, just because they haven't talked to him yet.
Right. And who knows what's, the other flip, other side to this is maybe Carolina is going into that slow rebuild, and they're just not really trying to rebuild that right now, which is why they did put a filler out there. And who knows? They might just go back to the draft and come up with,
They are sitting at, I think, 9 line in the draft. So,
right. So
yeah.
I don't think. I know we're bringing them up, but I think we're bringing them up based on the fact that their name came up in the trade.
Well, I just really wanted to talk to you about Matt Rule. Really,
right.
Oh,
but go ahead.
It led into that. We hadn't talked about Carolina yet, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on
overall.
on
I think the jury's still out. I'm not yay or nay.
Okay.
I still need to see more.
Okay.
That's